Hey guys, it's been quite a while since I made a video, and I apologize for that. I really couldn't think of anything to talk about, and nobody was posting in the thread, but I feel like I have enough material here that I can talk for a while and really give my view on some things, so I'm just gonna look at the posts and say what I think. Just go for it. Um, XDeath posted, how do I handle inexperienced players and experienced players? I'm going to assume like in comparison to each other. In like a tournament match, I generally autopilot inexperienced players because as an experienced player, I can really just ride on that, and that allows me to not just exhaust myself and use very much energy. I talked about, I believe, in a previous video that conserving your energy and using like as least as possible during earlier matches is really important, especially if you want to make it through a whole bracket and go to grand finals. If you're not in a position where you have a very good autopilot, and you have to beat them, I honestly think it's worth investing the time if you want to win a tournament to just play computers and play a lot, so that you just have the experience, the natural reflexes to just kind of go through players that haven't put in as much time as you. Because to be honest, that's all this game comes down to after a certain point. It's like who's really putting the work, the dedication, the hours, and it will show. And he continues to go and say that sometimes I'll do very well against a national player and then lose to someone who's worse than I am. Aside from mindset problems, I try to take everybody seriously. What I've been doing is just relying on like tornado and gimmicks against players who are mid-level, but sometimes players are experienced enough to get around that, but not to the point where their thoughts are structured to where I can read them. Um, well, that's the thing. When you autopilot players, you're not really relying on gimmicks. If you watch Mewtwo King's autopilot, sometimes he'll do a gimmick, but it's really just safe, constructed, smart play. Good fair wall to detail zoning, smart shield grabs, like stuff like that. And then the other thing is that players that are not very experienced don't take the full advantage of a situation. As an example, if Mewtwo King has stage control versus you, he's really just going to force you into a shitty position, and it's actually very annoying, like just to play him because you risk getting gimped every time you get grabbed into the ledge because he covers a lot of options and he takes full advantage of every little thing that you give him. So coming up, I think that's the first thing that you should really try to do is if your opponent misses something, you want to take the full punishment options and really ride on it as hard as you can and then make as little technical errors as possible. And that makes them have to work for every hit they get. And then every time they make a little mistake, you can just rape the shit out of them. And that just gets you through a lot of matches right there. Um, Now I'm just going to kind of continue down and I'm looking at Gheb's post. And he's saying OrionSmash and BIP2 impressions would be awesome. And have there been any new players that impress me? Um, hmm. I think watching Jumpman, he recently impressed me a lot more than the last time I saw him in September at the tournament. I don't really know how he got better. I don't think he practiced that much, but him and Tony looked really solid in teams. Tony is T. And outside of them, I'm still like, I really want Greg's to practice tech skill because I think he's one of the smartest players in Europe. Um, as far as lessons I learned from these tournaments and MSN2, uh, I suppose the main lesson I've learned is just the main thing I can work on at this point for myself is just either A, getting smarter, or B, improving my mindset. Like, I think at MSN2, when I got random tippered by Leon, match one of Grand Finals, I got really upset and it really affected my later matches and it just went into a downward spiral. The same thing happened when I lost to Mr. R that first set in Grand Finals, and I think the difference is that the Leon and Mr. R are much more capable of maintaining their focus and coming back even if they're losing. And for me, even though I've lost the last few sets versus them, I really feel like my personal mindset improving and me not getting upset a lot. And I'm just like, even if I'm in a really bad position about to get three stocked or something, I can always come back if I really focus. And that also, I think, just goes also in life. It's it's really a life lesson if something happens to just keep your calm and really focus. So uh, that's what I'm working on personally. I'm not even that deep on the tech skill practice right now because there's not that much more for me to technically learn other than like frame perfect F tilt dashes and shit like that, all the Japanese crap. Um, Now Geb is asking, is there anything I want to prepare in particular? Um, I suppose I definitely want to just chill out right now. Right now, I've been focusing a lot on my life and getting that sort of stuff in order. And I think it's very good to take a break from Smash every once in a while for a few weeks so that all the habits and everything that you learn can really settle in. And then I suppose 2 weeks before, the next tournament, which is in Germany, I'll probably really just sit down and practice a lot of tech skill and develop a lot of setups, especially versus Marth, because, well, that seems the character I'm just losing to. Um, the last question is once again by XDeath, and he's asking me, what do you think breeds consistency? Um, that's a debatable question because there's two types of consistency you could be talking about there for me at least. There's the consistency like okay, I want to do well today sort of consistency, or do you mean consistency in the long run? Like all right, I might do kind of bad at this tournament, but I'll keep climbing. And I really think that continual like constant practice, if you really put in hours, it's going to show. But also I think that you know if you have just the focus. And I don't even mean like you're that smart or you're that technical or you have that great of a reaction time. But if you really want the win, if you're really willing to work for it and do everything and you never give up, I think that always, always shows. And I think that if you have the patience to wait for the win, then that's even better because that just makes it scary. Even if you're three stocks down, that you can just wait, and if your opponent gives you an inch, you can just take the full grasp of it and really always come back. And I think that sort of focus, that sort of mindset, is really what breeds the best players. Like I've seen, and I'm sure you've all seen Mewtwo King, Ally, all of the top players come back from nearly being three stocked or something and just win the match. And that doesn't come by just like them having good tech skill or a couple of reads or something. That's from them having an amazing tournament mindset and being like, I'm not giving up. I can still win this even if I'm down. And I think as a, just as competing in any sort of sport, American football, volleyball, tennis, whatever, having that sort of focus is really important. Um, Outside of that, I think the second most important thing is execution. If you can't execute what you're thinking and what you feel, then you're not going to be able to perform it. So I think working on your mindset and execution is really like the first thing. And then after you do that, as you keep practicing, you'll just naturally have more freedom in what you're doing because you don't have to think about the tech skill and you have the focus to stay in, keep your head in the game, and then you'll naturally just start focusing more on the match and you'll read instead of trying to be like, all right, I'm going to read really well this match, and then you're thinking about thinking and then you're not actually thinking, if that makes sense at all. But that's what I really feel like a lot of people do. They worry so much about having to make all of these reads, and then they're not actually thinking, they're just being greedy. um, I feel like that's also what really won me and Luigi player teams at OrionSmash, is that Leon got very agitated because he kept going for a lot of hard reads with Marth off stage, and I just gimped him 2, 3 times in a row. And instead of just like really calming down, he just got upset, and then he just kept rushing me. He didn't wait, and that allowed me to just take my time and slowly pick away at him. And that it usually like at MSN that didn't really happen, and he managed to calm down and figure me out and win. But at that tournament, maybe he was just not doing as well. Who knows? But yeah, that for me, I think the most important thing for consistency and for winning is mindset, focus, execution, and then, like mind games and thinking. And if you can do all of those, then you'll be fine. I've talked for a good while, so I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'm out.